Good morning, fathers of daughters. This is Ephraim B. Martin. I am 58 years of age. I'm the father of four adult daughters, and this is another live stream. Welcome. It's a beautiful day here in Denver, Colorado, September the 24th, 2023. We're almost in the fall, my favorite time of year, fathers. So, fathers, I welcome you. I hope you had a good week. Hope God is continuing to bless all you fathers out there doing the best that you can with your children, with your daughters, and hoping He's keeping your family safe, protected, and all those good blessings that come with it. So, fellow fathers, I welcome you to Girl Dad YouTube channel. This is a new YouTube channel. I have been doing live streaming probably for about the last 5 months. And I'm very excited. Things are going extremely well. And I feel blessed being able to share my experiences as the father of four adult daughters. I've written a book called Daddy's Girls, and it's available at Amazon.com. If you're interested, you could purchase it through my website. And I share my experiences. I share my experiences as a father of four adult daughters. I share my experiences, my career experiences of working in the criminal justice system for 20 years and also working in K-12 education for 10 years. I'm a former state of Colorado juvenile probation officer and also a teacher and a dean of students. So I have a lot of good experience. I have a good perspective, I believe, on working with children, working with kids from all socioeconomic backgrounds, and it's been amazing. I had an amazing career in both the criminal justice system and K-12 education. Fathers, I'm here today because what I would like to speak with you about is girl dads. We are our daughters' best advocates. And the reason I want to talk about advocacy when it comes to our daughters is our baby girls, our daughters are definitely going to need advocacy, right? And the reason that our daughters are going to need advocacy is because as little girls, as they grow and they're in elementary school, middle school, and then when they get to high school, their stages of development, those are the three stages of development. Birth to 10 years of age, 10 to 13 years of age, and 14 to 18 years of age. That's what I talk about in my book, Daddy's Girls. Those are the three stages of development for our daughters. And with every stage of development is going to require a different level of advocacy when it comes to our baby girls. So I just want to share with you and have a discussion with you as a girl dad, right? What does that advocacy look like from us? And it really depends, because all fathers, we come from all ethnic groups, we come from all cultural backgrounds. So our advocacy for our daughters may look different depending on our culture, right? All cultures aren't the same. Fathers handle culturally their children different. Um, I'm from the United States of America. I'm an American. I'm a Black American. So being born and raised in the West, the way we advocate for our daughters is definitely going to be different than someone from the Middle East who may be Muslim. It's definitely going to be different from someone who may be Hindu. Religious advocacy looks different for different cultures. Family traditions look different for different cultures, right? So I believe I am able to work with all fathers, regardless of their ethnic background and regardless of their culture, because we have that commonality as dads, right? As fathers of children, as fathers of daughters, we have that commonality. So when it comes to advocacy, I like to share what I've done. I'm definitely interested in hearing what other fathers have done culturally, because I've been blessed and I had the opportunity to work with many, many children from a diverse culture, from a diverse background. You know, I've been exposed to a lot of fathers that come from different religious views and different points of view. I've worked with children and I've worked with families that had traditional values that may be more conservative versus being liberal. So I've had those opportunities, and I've been able to learn from different individuals that come from different cultural backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, and religious backgrounds. So when it comes to advocacy, it's going to look different for all of us. One of the things I know, being a Black male and within the Black community, our advocacy for our kids may look a lot different than if you're a white American, if you're Latino, if you're Native American, if you're Asian American, because there's cultural differences, right? So it doesn't make it right or wrong, but advocacy is advocacy. And when it comes to our daughters, they're going to need advocacy. Trust me, they're going to. When our daughters are in the primary grades, K through 5, being a former teacher, being a former dean of students, I can tell you, to me, elementary school teachers, they are the best teachers on the planet. I can say that convincingly, and I can say that wholeheartedly. My daughters were so blessed with their elementary school teachers. They had elementary school teachers when they all got to kindergarten all the way through 5th grade. Their teachers moved up every grade with them. So they kept the same teachers the entire time in their primary grades. And it was such a blessing, because they didn't have to change when it came to new teachers. They were familiar with their teachers, right? And as an advocate, Father, why are we the best advocates when it comes to our daughters? The reason I believe that is because we have a different sense of urgency, right? That's not to say anything bad about their mothers. Their mothers are going to do their thing because they're mothers. But when it comes to grow dads, we have a different level and a different sense of urgency. One of the things I loved about my daughters being in the primary grades, when it came to advocacy, you got to team up, right, with their teachers. You got to participate in everything from Halloween to Christmas, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day. I just remember when I was an advocate for my daughters at the primary grades, just all the field trips I was blessed to go on with my baby girls. You know, being a parent, I didn't miss any of my daughter's field trips. I didn't miss any of my daughter's parties, right? I decided early in their lives, I got into a profession in the criminal justice system as a probation officer because I knew I was going to have leverage. If something was to ever happen to my daughters, I could leave. I could handle their business, right? And the same thing happened when I got into education. So the professions that I chose allowed me leeway in case something happened with my daughters. I could leave my job and take care of my daughters. So I appreciated that, but that was my doing. That was my choice, right? So in the primary grades, it's a blessing when it comes to advocacy for your daughters, because we get to team up with their teachers. And trust me, elementary school teachers, they are so grateful and so open to the idea, specifically of having fathers in a classroom. Let me tell you, you don't see many men, you don't see many fathers in classrooms. You see a bunch of mothers, but you don't see many fathers. So when my daughters were little and I was able to go on all these field trips and, be around all these beautiful children, it just taught me something. It really, it moved me in a way that I otherwise probably wouldn't have been moved, because these are little kids, these are little children, and not every child has a father. Not every child has a father in their life. Some of these children, their parents are divorced. Some of these children come from single parent households. So to have a man in the classroom, I'm going to tell you something, that means something for a lot of children, particularly little boys. Little boys used to naturally gravitate to me all the time. I didn't know their situation, but little boys gravitated to me because I was a male figure. It was something that was familiar to them. Kids don't see color. Kids don't see color. I don't believe children do. So for me, it was a blessing. And I took full advantage of the situations that were presented to me when it came to my daughters being in the primary grades of K-5. So I didn't have any issues. And fathers, you shouldn't have any issues either when your baby girls are in elementary school. You should not, because trust me, elementary school teachers are never going to tell you no. They want to partner with you, fathers. They look to partner with you. They will allow you to come in their classrooms and be the man that you can be. Because when these little boys see a man in a classroom, they light up. Little girls are going to be proud, but little boys, they light up when they have a man in the classroom. I'm telling you, I've witnessed it for myself. I've been there. I've been a part of it. What about advocacy when our daughters get to middle school? It's going to be a little bit different. They're a little bit older. It's a different transition for them. They're no longer in one classroom all day, being watched all day by one teacher. They're now moving classrooms. They're now moving around. They have different periods throughout the day. Socialization is going to be different for them. They're meeting new friends. So advocacy looks a little bit different in middle school. What is interesting, I remember I had a situation with my daughters in middle school. My two youngest, Zuri and Cheyenne, they're 2 years apart. So they were always together. And I remember there was a situation. My girls had came home from school and they were real quiet. So we were eating dinner, and I was like, "Girls, what's up?" I know something's up because I know my girls. They just weren't moving the way they normally move, and I could just tell, they were quiet. And they were like, "Dad, we got a problem at school." And at the time, I was the dean of students at a high school. So I was like, "Well, what's up, girls?" And they're like, "Well, our art teacher, she's not being fair to all of the students, right?" And I said, "Well, what's going on?" So my daughters kind of explained. They did explain, not kind of. They explained to me that the art teacher, she was treating certain students differently than how my daughters were being treated. And they didn't like that. Specifically, what was happening, some of these kids were coming in the classroom, and my daughters felt that they were being isolated and they were being talked down to. So, I listened to what my daughters have to say. So I immediately went to the website and I saw who their art teacher was. Now, this art teacher, she had a PhD. So my first thought is, what is a PhD doing in a middle school? Teaching middle school students. Because if you're a PhD, you should be in the college. You should be teaching college students. That's your tolerance. That's where you need to be. You don't need to be around middle school kids. Middle school kids require a different level of patience. Middle school kids require a different level of understanding. And if you're a PhD, most PhDs, they ain't got that patience. You need to be around adults. Don't be fooling with no children. It's just crazy. So, what ended up happening is I shot the art teacher an email. I explained to her how my daughters were feeling. And I explained to her when we're going to be having back to school night in about 30 days. And this needs to be fixed. And then I followed up with a phone call before, the back to school night. So everything worked out. But I had to advocate for my girls. My girls needed to see that their father was advocating for them and was not about to have no nonsense with this art teacher. Because I can tell you, some middle school teachers, they're straight trash. They're straight trash. They are, right? And being in education and being a dean of students and a teacher, I came from the criminal justice system into the educational system. So my path was different. I didn't come traditionally, graduate from college and go straight into teaching. I spent 20 years in the criminal justice system before I got involved in K-12 education. And I already knew when I was in the criminal justice system working with children, most teachers, they line up together and they're not going to cross each other and they have each other's backs. And I've met a lot of trash teachers, not all, but I've met a lot of trash teachers over the years. So the one thing is, you ain't messing over my kids. That ain't happening. So advocacy at the middle school level is going to look different. Fathers, we're going to have to spend more time in middle school. We're going to have to be speaking with our daughters on a daily basis. What's going on with them? What's happening with them? Watch their moods. Okay? If your daughters have all of a sudden, different mood, something's going on, fathers. Pay attention. Okay? Because most middle school daughters, if something's going on with them with their teachers, a lot of them aren't going to say anything. You have to ask them. You have to be direct. You have to let them know they can come to their fathers, right? So we have to move a little bit different when it comes to middle school. Because some of these middle school teachers, a lot of them, they don't have their own children. I don't have a problem with that. You can work with children, not have your own kids, but you better be correct and you better come correct. Okay? Because this has to be a win-win for our daughters. We can't have teachers out there taking advantage of our children, talking crazy to our kids, right? And that's where fathers, you have to step up and be about that business and handle that business, because we're going to do it different than their mothers, and we should, right? I'm not saying be mean or be disrespectful, but when we are advocating for our daughters, we have to advocate for them, right, wrong, or indifferent. We have to advocate for our girls. They have to see that advocacy. Because a child, if they don't feel good about their teachers, they ain't going to want to go to school. I'm telling you straight up. That's not how our kids get down. They're not going to want to be around these teachers. Most kids are attending school to be better students, but they're there to just socialize with their friends. They're there to feel good around their friends. They're there to build relationships, right? So fathers, we have to pay attention. We have to be aware of what is going on with our baby girls, right? Retention should be our goal, one of our goals, retention. We got to get our girls to graduation from high school. So retention begins in middle school. My experience as a probation officer, when little girls drop out of high school, it's going to be before they're 16. My experience, most little girls, when I supervised little girls on probation, they were disengaged from school around 13, 14 years of age. So we have to make sure, as their fathers, advocacy. We got to come correct, dads. We have to come correct. And we have to be available, right? Okay. So what about high school? High school is a little bit different. By the time my daughters get to high school, they're going to have their own, they're going to have their own voice. And if there's a problem with their teachers, they're going to check them. I never worried about my daughters in high school. I didn't do high school. And let me explain what I mean by I don't do high school. K through 9 or K through 8. I didn't miss any of my daughter's parties, back to school nights, field trips, none of them. I did K2 through 8. So by the time they got to high school, they had the study habits, they had the discipline, they had the consistency. Once you get to high school, and if you got an issue or a problem with your teachers, you better handle it. Because if I get a phone call from your teachers and they're telling me what's going on, we're going to have a problem. Chances are I'm going to side with the teacher. Okay? So I taught my daughters how to advocate for themselves. By the time they got to high school, my daughters never had issues. They never had a referral in their life. They never were suspended from school in their life. They never talked back to their teachers, to adults that were older than them in their lives. That's not how my daughters were reared. My daughters, they were going to respect their teachers. You're not going to be arguing with your teachers. You're not going to be telling your teachers they're wrong, they're crazy, mouthing off. We don't do that in the Martin household. That's not how we get down. You're going to represent the Martin household, though, to the best of your ability all day, every day. When you leave the Martin household, you best be in your best behavior. Handle your business in high school when it comes to your teachers. It's a different relationship. As far as advocacy, fathers, we get to fall back. But you still have to be involved. Because trust me, when you're dealing with some of these assistant principals and some of these deans of students, they got their favorite kids. So let's talk about that. When my daughters got to high school, they saw the difference, right? I had to check some of these deans of students. I had to check some of these assistant principals. They didn't know, a lot of them, they didn't know that I had been a dean of students. So I had to check them because they were acting crazy, right? That's what it was. So, this is what it was. This is how I had to get down. And this is what I was doing. Okay? I had to make sure that my kids were well taken care of, right? With no issues, with no problems with their teachers. But you have to still advocate for them, fathers. You have to make sure that there's not going to be any issues, that there's not going to be any problems. Okay? And you have to do it that way, right? Because if you don't, there's going to be some problems. There's going to be some issues, right? So you have to make sure that you handle it the way you handle it and you do what you do. Okay? Because at the high school level, it ain't no joke. It is not no joke. Okay, fathers. So I'm going to end this live stream, and we're gonna have another live stream next week. And I just want to thank you, and I want to commend you for being the fathers that you're going to be and continue to do the things that you do for your children. Okay, fathers? Always remember, when it comes to our children, okay, advocacy is the key. Sense of urgency is the key. And we have to be consistent, fathers. Okay? We have to be consistent, right? That's what it is. That's what it's going to be. And as long as we do and we stay consistent and we're advocates for our daughters, we're not going to have any problems with them. When I was a probation officer, and it's in my book, the best advice I got was from a mother of 8 children. She was a probation officer. I'll never forget this woman. She had raised 8 girls, her and her husband. She was in her 60s. She was probably about 65 years of age. At that time, she gave me the advice. when it came to my baby girls. And the best advice she gave me, she said, Mr. Martin, as long as you change with your daughters, you're going to be fine. There's not going to be any issues. You're going to be fine. And she was absolutely right. Raising my baby girls, it was easy. I'm telling you. I didn't have a single problem with my daughters from birth to 18. Not a single problem. And the reason I believe I didn't have a single problem, first of all, grace of God. I give all honor and glory to God. I'm not crazy. I give all honor and glory to God for allowing me to be in their life and to keep them protected and safe. But I changed with my daughters. And that was the advice that I had received. As long as you change with your daughters, you're not going to have any issues. And I did not have any issues. So fathers of daughters, we are our daughters' best advocates. I believe that. And as long as you're consistent, and as long as you are a part of their life, and as long as you advocate for them, you're not going to have any issues. I can promise you. I've lived it 4 times, and my adult daughters are amazing women. All right, fathers, thank you for your time. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your persistence. I appreciate all fathers, because it ain't easy being a girl dad. I know it ain't easy, but what I can promise you is it gets better. And as your girls are going through the stages of development, just rock with them. That's all you got to do, dads. Just rock with them. Don't make it any more difficult than it has to be. Just rock with them. Let them be little girls. Do what you do as father. And that's it. It's all going to work out. All right, gentlemen, my pleasure. Until next week, I'm going to holler at you. Peace.